almost like. Yeah. But it's honest funny, bro. Like the way you speak about the marae and arrangements and kawa and things like that. And I mean, I don't mean to gas you up too much here, but it reminds me of like the Matrix, like reading, reading things and seeing the patterns and knowing, okay, I know what to do here. Did you ever have moments, because a lot of us have these in our adolescent times, but I noticed a lot of people who call themselves loners and like to have a lot of alone time. This doesn't apply so much, but you mentioned at these moments, okay, I see this pattern, so that obviously means I do this. Did you ever stop and question those patterns? Or was it, no, you can't because you get a smack on the bum or whatever?
I would.
Or even challenge them?
Yep, and I'd validate it. You get that, okay, you do it, and then someone will go, oh no, Bob did that. And then obviously someone, that validates the reason for the change. And I do that with my practice now. I do that when I'm challenging something. I always make sure there's a validation for it. And that's why I go back to what I said yesterday. Whatever I do, there's a whakapapa to it. That can mean anything. It's a reciprocal relationship. So I'm validating the reason why I did that, because. There's always a because. And when you're challenging that, it's not to come across malicious. It's to come across being a little bit more innovative in how you process those things. Whether it's a knife on the other side or a spoon over there by the fork. Do you know what I mean?
Yep. Or putting the tea towel in a different cupboard that's closer or something.
Because that's a methodology of research. That's a methodology of a practice that you can use. So those little things can be a tangible way of making.
And not only in society in general, I believe, but especially in our Māori world, it can be very hard to introduce contemporary stuff to tradition. How do you find that?
That's been something that's always a challenge. I think it's taken my mum to understand what I've been doing for years, and I don't think she still doesn't understand what I'm doing for years. But again, the benefit of it is that it's not for the past. This is for now and the future. I can sit and have a conversation with my sisters and tell them about it the same way I do with my mum, and they understand it because they've got a different mind. But the most important thing that always needs to be recognised when I do my work is acknowledgement. Making sure that this person's acknowledged, because I know that that's been their influence. And my mum validates a lot of things for me. There's an ethical process around it, and making sure that I don't takahi on anyone's mana, that we all can agree that this is what Bob's doing. He's asked permission. He's done this and done that. And when you formalise those things, it becomes okay, and then people start to know. And when people start to talk that it's oh, that's not right. Oh no. That's when I'll go and I'll say, well, okay, so what do you suggest? I'll follow it, because you obviously are upset about it. What do we want to do? Thankfully, I haven't been through that yet, but I'm waiting for it.
Yeah.
And it's a good lesson to learn, and it's a good process to go through. Yeah.
A lot of it's really like when that hurdle comes, so to speak. My belief, anyway, and tell me if I'm wrong, bro. A lot of it's just taming your own ego, right?
Yeah.
Because you're only going to get upset.
Yeah.
If you feel like, I don't know, if you kind of got some boastful pride about the way things should be. Whereas if you're actually trying to achieve the goal, which has got everyone's well-being in mind, then is that right? Like, do you think?
Much, yeah. But you still got to deal with it.
Yeah, true.
There's a way you have to deal with it, and you have to deal with it in a sensitive way, and that just keeps you noa as well when you're doing your mahi. But yeah.
Touching on whānau, bro, because whānau is obviously something that's come up a lot. You've mentioned your sisters, your siblings, and also your mums. And they use the word plurally. So can you kind of explain that situation, I guess, for our listeners? Because I kind of understand what's going on, but yeah.
So
just because I saw some faces last night, bro, that were a little bit confused. So I should have actually asked that at the Q&A. But
yes, that's right. How should I explain this? So I am one of 8, including my sisters. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I have to count.
Oh, good.
Nathaniel Shahine, Sarah, Te Poihi, Moana, Craig. Yeah. Nothing. There's about, we'll just say 10 of us.
Yep.
And so Mum and Mum Robert and Mum Diane, they had adopted me out, and they gave me to a beautiful woman called Alison Luke, who also had 2 kids. But growing up, I never had a disconnection. I grew up knowing that I had 2 mums. And my whole life, I've always had to explain why I call 2 of these people my mum. And it's just become normal to me that I've just got a big family.
Yep.
And it's never crossed my mind. Like, I'm just unique in that way, and it's privileged to have that many whānau members and being able to switch it up and go over here. I feel like I feel like I'll go back. Oh no, I'll go back.
So how are your mums whānau or whanaunga?
They're both Lukes, but I think they're different Lukes.
Okay.
So my mum Ellison, she's actually Pōkau and a Waikiripuru, and then mum's mum is a Luke from back home, and I think mum Ellison's first husband was a Luke also, and it's where that Luke comes from. And then I think the Mum Diane Luke is a different Luke, so I'm kind of blessed to have 2 different Lukes. So it's like
easy to keep track of with one name, though, eh?
Yeah, it's kind of, my last name represents both of them. I always think so. Yeah. And then Campbell-Luke is obviously my real dad's name. I have literally his name. Actually, I got Bobby Campbell-Wahawaha, and his name is Robert Campbell-Waha. Wow.
Oh, so your name is actually Bobby?
Yeah.
I thought it was a nickname because of Robert.
No.
I thought you had the full-fledged name.
But I got my father's name, and that was my great-grandfather's name. And I think that he was married to a tito. So yeah.
So there you go, whānau, for those wanting to know. Hopefully there wasn't too.
It made me think too. I've never had to think about it.
Well, that's good though. That means it's been a seamless relationship, right?
Absolutely, 100%.
Well, you mentioned as well one of the big growth moments, or a part of your, like, I don't want to say struggle, but for lack of a better term, one of your struggles coming up was coming out. I was wondering if you could speak to that, and I guess how that process was for you, because I know there's going to be someone listening going through this. I do understand it is a very personal question, so if it's something you don't want to speak to, bro, all good. But yeah, I just wanted to...
When I turned 16, I had glitter coming out of my house. I was the most colourful thing you could ever see. I had pink hair, blue hair, what else? Black hair, red hair. Like, I was a rainbow fart. I didn't necessarily struggle. I did struggle at school, but I think like any other coming out story, you also kind of struggled at school.
What sort of things did you struggle with at school?
The majority of that, my school was non-Māori, and I don't think they could grapple with the idea. I could go to, let's say, I had more friends in like La Salle or James Cook, which were like brown schools, you could call it, and I would fit in a little bit more than I did at this school. It was a Catholic school. And again, the arts, my visual arts room was the most safest place I could have. But at the same time, Mum struggled with it. My mum struggled with it. She didn't know what to say. But it wasn't hard. School life was hard.
Pardon my ignorance, bro. I'm trying to think of a way to ask this, but I'm hoping you know that I'm not actively being a dickhead here. And like I said, pardon my ignorance if I'm asking this completely wrongly, and I in no way, shape or form mean to be disrespectful, but did you have, like, I guess, a moment where it was kind of like, am I or aren't I? Or no, you knew?
Oh, hell. I remember watching Dragon Ball Z with my cousins, and I was like, I'm not watching this because it looks cool. And I and I clicked, I was going, oh, okay.
How old are you when
Oh, hell, I think I was about 14, 15. Yep. It's out of it when I think about that, because the more stuff comes up.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, Yugi.
Be epiphany after epiphany,
honestly,
right?
It was out of a bit of a fetish, I think.
Anime.
Yeah. But yeah, it wasn't until that. And then I started to see, you start to see gay characters come onto TV.
Mm-hmm.
I think, I don't know, what was his name on Shortland Street? They had one on there for like 2010 or like 2007 or something like that. I remember watching that, and then Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. I remember watching that thinking,
I remember that being huge.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh yeah, I can relate. Like after watching all of those things, and I think it was Ugly Betty was another one, and all of those influences helped me. And then I remember on the bus, I think we were listening to The Edge when we were going to school, and I think that's when Mike Peru come out. And then I think everyone looked at me like, oh, okay, you're all good. Like, oh, you're cool now.
Oh, because you feel like him doing what he did kind of validated?
Yeah, a little bit, because that was the buzz. That was the buzz in the morning show, like on our bus, because, that was where it hit worst for me. Because you go out of school, you're on the bus, everyone's just...
No one's domain,
I've been spit on, I've been, all of that stuff. But my story's not unique. It's pretty much like a lot. But seeing it now, it's like, wow, like, it's so children think it's normalised with them these days. And I must say, I don't even give it a thought anymore. I don't even I think it's at that point in my life when I'm like, oh, yeah, all good. I've never encountered any kind of homophobic or whatever.
Not since those days on the bus, sort of thing?
No, I've never had a problem with it. Yeah.
They mentioned your mum wasn't too sure what to do.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. Your conversations with both of your parents. Like, how did you bring it up? Or
mum was cracking up. She was like, oh, you puffy bob.
That's the word, eh? That's the word.
Puffy bob, and I'm going.
So she said it to you. Yeah. She brought it up.
Oh well, I kind of mentioned it. And then she started going, oh, you're puffy bob. And I go, huh? I didn't know what that meant.
Yeah.
And she goes, hurry back to front. And I'm going, what? What does that mean? She was like, puffy. And I was like, oh. And then it just kind of like, we stopped the conversation ever since. But it's hard to talk about things in front of her. But I think along the track, it's just experiencing little things with me and doing what I need to do. I had a bit of a going out all the time, yeah. It wasn't too much of a roller coaster, but we good now.
Me?
Yeah.
In like any journey, you get there in the end?
Yeah, hard. And I'm pretty complacent with it. Yeah.
So one thing you mentioned that I really I was excited to speak to you about today as well, that you mentioned last night, was your 2 weeks that you bunked school to go and help out at Fashion Week. Tell me about that, bro.
Okay. So every 1 year I had the opportunity, So Fashion Week in New Zealand, you had to do an interview if you wanted to be a volunteer, was out of it. So I had interviewed on the Monday. I went to school. I had a bag full of clothes, and at the time you could leave lunchtime and go outside of school. So I left school at lunchtime, went to the cafe across the road, got changed, came out, caught a bus to town, had my interview, got the job of an usher at Fashion Week, and then I come back, I come back, got changed, went back into school and jumped